Okay, so now let's get into the fun part, right? So for recurring revenue businesses, we emphasize understanding unit economics, right? Or the value of one customer is extremely critical before you start talking about what is the value of, let's say, 100,000 customers or a million customers, or many customers you may have, right? So in this example, let's just get some basic terms out of the way and then actually do some fun calculation here, right? So the net revenue we're going to be talking about when we only talk about revenue and not talk about cost to service, right? So the CFO is not going to like it. So let's get to net revenue, not just the revenue. Net revenue is revenue minus cost, right? Not necessarily EBITDA, but close enough, right? Average lifetime value, average lifetime in of a customer, you might have an easy number, annual attrition. You may have a business with 20% annual attrition or 30% annual attrition. The lifetime of the customer is 1 divided by the annual attrition. So if you have 20% attrition, 1 divided by 20%, it's 5 years of lifetime. In months, that's 5 times 12, 60 months. If you have a 10% annual attrition, you're talking about 1 divided by 10% or 10 years of lifetime. That's a boatload of months, 120 months of revenue that you're going to collect. If your attrition is very high, 33%, as you think of your own business, then you have a lifetime of 1 divided by 33 or 3 years, right? So that's still 36 months of revenue, right? And then finally, a very, very important number. When we talk about recurring revenue subscription, we're talking about future revenue collected. And $100 5 years from now is not the same as $100 today. And that's an important metric for your CFO and your board leaders, right? So you do want to use the discounted rate, or in some terms, this is called cost of capital. How much interest rate you're paying for a bank to lend you the money. You need to take that as part of a critical calculation for you to produce the right number. So these are some basic numbers: net revenue, average lifetime, monthly discount rate. When we get these things and blend that into your calculator, you're going to get some very, very credible calculations to explain the value of one customer back to your teams and then work on your business cases, right? So with those as the background, let's look at a scenario of unit economics, which is, we actually call that remaining customer lifetime value, or RCLV, of one customer. And the reason why we do it this way is sometimes it's very, very complicated when we start blending the value of a customer with cost of acquisition, right? You know, your marketing team has multiple channels of acquisition. When you ask them, what is the cost of acquisition? The answer is always, it depends. It depends if this is a referral customer. It depends if you're reactivating. It depends if you're paying Google. It depends if you're getting a referral partner giving you, because the amount of money that is spent on each of these scenarios is different. So sometimes this cost of acquisition just complicates the thing. But when we are looking at existing base, regardless of the cost of business, using a term like RCLV, or the value of your customers as they are today, right, kind of simplifies the calculation. So it's a very credible calculation, also eliminates the distractions that come with the cost of acquisition before calculating CLV. So for the rest of the calculation, we're going to focus on unit economics, focusing on remaining lifetime value of the customer, right? So in this scenario, we're going to use annual revenue of, let's say, $50 a month, which is $600 a year. Let's say our cost of servicing that customer is 30% of the revenue that we collect, and we have an annual attrition of 20%, and the bank is lending the money at 7.5 interest rate, right? So simple numbers, you can change these things to get to your own numbers, or we can help you with these things. So in this case, monthly revenue is $50, 600 divided by 12. Monthly cost to serve is $50 times 30%, or $15. So the number one most important thing is, what is the net revenue? That's $35, this minus that, right? Now $35 for how long, right? So our average lifetime is now 1 divided by 20%, which is 60 months. So now we are going to do a very straight math before we apply discounting calculation. $35 at 60 months is going to give us $2,100 as the value of the customer. But if we take that to the CFO and say that this is the number we have, then he'll course correct you, right? The course correction is most about, well, that revenue is coming in future, so let's actually apply the discount rate right away, right? So if our cost of future money discounts at 7.5% every year, then that $2,100 will translate into, when you apply that discount rate, the final value today of every single customer with these types of attributes is $1,747 as opposed to $2,100, right? So that's the unit economics. Now, when you impact any of these numbers, this number 1,747 will either go up or go down. Our objective now is to figure out how to improve this one, right?